Let's take a look at how to work with categories in the competitions module. If you open a competition, you will notice that there are predefined disciplines, age groups, and sometimes categories. Where does this come from and can you edit it? Yes, you can, under Categories menu. Here you can modify the default disciplines, age groups, and categories. You cannot delete those that are already in use. And also, note that if you modify the ones that are already in use, the modification will be applied to all existing records. For example, if we change seniors to seniors 1 to 3, we will see that in existing records as well. Let's change that back. Let's see what other possibilities we have in the age groups grid. In addition to the name, we can specify the gender. We can also set the discipline, which by default it is not set. This means that now any age group category can be chosen for each discipline. If we define a certain discipline, then that age group will be linked only to that discipline. For each age group, you can define age limits in two ways, using birth dates or years of age. In this example, we will use years of age and set this age group to include boys aged 7 to 9. You can also define default weight categories here. Separate them with a comma. Let's now add a member named Neil James who is 9.5 years old and see what happens. When I select the age group 7 to 9 years old, I can select one of the categories I have defined. After I save, I will see a warning that this member does not fall within the 7 to 9 age range. This is just a warning and does not prevent me from keeping the member registered in that category. The problem is that age ranges examine the limits as they are entered. In our case, the correct upper limit is 9.99. Let's fix that in the next category as well. Now the warning is gone. How you organize your disciplines, age groups, and categories depends on you and your sport. Here is an example of how it would look for karate. If both disciplines we have the same age groups, then each age group can remain all disciplines. We recommend separating age groups by gender, as this will then be validated by the registration form. You can enter default weight categories if they are the same for most tournaments, but you don't have to worry about that as you can override them for each individual competition. Let's show you how. Let's define different categories just for this competition. Click on Categories and for each discipline choose which age groups will be available. Notice that the default categories are listed here and that we can overwrite them. For example, we will put -40 and +40 for the first age group and -50 and +50 for the second. We must not forget to save. Let's see how this will affect the participants list. We will have warnings that previously selected categories no longer exist. And when we enter the changes, we will see that now the age group list contains only those categories that we clicked on. And the list of categories now shows the ones we overwrote. Now let's see how we can enable the member to register himself in the category on the registration form. We will delete this record. On the registration form, we will enable all members to register and include category editor options and age and gender validation. Let's log in as Neil James. We see that we can now choose a category. First the discipline, and then on the list we only have one age group to choose from. This is because we turned on age and gender restriction, and the application only lists categories that correspond to the age and gender of this member. And the member has registered in the selected category. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for new videos.